Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Saturday, the 11th of May. Reading through the letter of James, we read chapter 3 today, where James discusses the tongue, a fairly well-known but not often enough applied passage. In verse 7, he says, "All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who've been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing." My brothers and sisters, this should not be. And reading that made me think of how we use our tongues. And I think it's going to be particularly apposite at this time as we head towards elections, as there's all this election campaigning going on and people coming with all sorts of ideas and very often quite negative. We don't say how good we're going to be and how wonderful we are. We say, well, at least I might not be brilliant, but I'm better than them. And we get into how bad they are. And our challenge as Christians is, how do we respond? And not only how do we respond in the area of politics, but in the area of life. Do we guard our tongues? Are we noted as people who are slow to speak, as Jesus encourages us to be, and don't become angry? Are we the kind of people that others will listen to, or do they just ignore us because we're always on with nonsense? And as I was reading that, I thought of the basic teaching that we have, which comes from all over the show, and we used it in the school quite often with children, saying, if you're going to say anything, particularly if you're going to say something about somebody else, ask the 3 questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it loving? And if it doesn't meet those 3 criteria, don't say it. Is it true? And this doesn't mean, do I think it's true? It's, do I know it's true? And in the contemporary world with so much information on the internet, our point of departure, I think, needs to be, if we saw it on the internet, it's not true. Because there is so much false nonsense on the internet. And so we have people sharing something. A friend sent this to me and it comes from this, and it's the truth. You stop and say, hold on, how do you know it's true? Have you seen it? Have you experienced it? Is this yours? And we need to recognize that these days, most of what we get from the internet is not true. And we need to not just guard our tongues, but guard what we share on social media. Step back. Doesn't matter whose opinion it is. Doesn't matter what they say. And we have to be so discerning, because there's so much false information, so much that is dressed up as truth, which isn't true. And even when we find that it is true, we've got to say, is it necessary? Is the world going to be a better place for me sharing this? And in my speaking, is the situation going to be improved by my saying this or not? And if we're not making the world better, then let's rather not say it. Let's keep it to ourselves. And finally, is it loving? Are we speaking out of love for people, or are we speaking to be heard? That we can have a say, that we can be part of the discussion? Are we saying it with that person's best interest in mind? And I think if we were to slow down and think through those 3 things a little bit more, we'd probably say a lot less, and we'd often share a lot less on social media. So be encouraged to stop, to think, guard the tongue, guard what we say verbally and on the internet. Be blessed.